American pilots learned one rule when a Zero appeared behind them. Do not turn.
Because the moment they tried to outturn it, the Japanese fighter owned the sky. The Mitsubishi Zero climbed faster, turned tighter, and seemed almost impossible to escape. The American Wildcat looked slower, heavier, and badly outmatched in a turning fight. Yet this supposedly inferior fighter helped change the air war over the Pacific. The answer was not a faster airplane. It was a trap, invented before combat began.
Yes. A pilot named John Thach realized that survival depended on refusing the fight Japan wanted.
This is the story of the Wildcat, the Zero, and the maneuver that turned weakness into danger. At the beginning of the Pacific War, the Zero had earned its terrifying reputation. It was light, exceptionally agile, and designed to win the close-range fight. Its designers saved weight wherever they could, chasing range and maneuverability above protection. For early Allied pilots, that performance created a brutal tactical problem. Reports kept repeating the same warning: do not try to circle with a Zero. In a sustained turn, the Zero could often put its guns where the Wildcat could not. American pilots did not need another warning. They needed a way to stay alive. The solution would begin with accepting what the Wildcat could not do. The Wildcat was not built to win elegance contests against the Zero. But it carried things the Zero often sacrificed: armor, structure, and punishment tolerance. Its heavier guns could make a brief firing window matter enormously.
The aircraft could absorb damage that would have been catastrophic to lighter machines.
That toughness gave pilots something precious in war: another chance to return. And in a dive, the Wildcat could use gravity to escape the turn it could not win. But strength and speed meant little without a method for using them together. That method came from a naval aviator, studying a problem at his own table. John Thach was thinking about an enemy fighter he had not yet faced himself. He studied reports about the Zero and imagined what happened when it attacked from behind. If two fighters crossed at the right moment, each could protect the other. The attacking Zero would have to choose: continue the chase or face the second fighter. It was not a miracle. It was geometry, timing, discipline, and trust between wingmen in danger. The maneuver would later be called the Thach Weave, a defense built for two pilots. Before it became famous, it had to survive the test of real combat. The Thach Weave began with two fighters flying as a disciplined team. When one pilot was attacked, both aircraft turned toward each other. The pursuer focused on one target, while the second Wildcat entered the danger zone. At the crossing point, the hunter could suddenly become the hunted. The maneuver created only seconds of opportunity, but seconds were enough. A Zero pilot could break away, but that meant abandoning the easy chase. The Weave did not make the Wildcat superior. It made isolation dangerous. It was a simple idea, but simple ideas can reshape the choices pilots make. In June 1942, The tactic faced its most important early test at Midway. The pilots knew Japanese fighters had every advantage in the turning battle. But Thach had rehearsed the problem until the answer felt automatic. In the sky above Midway, formation discipline became a weapon as real combat began.
The Japanese aircraft were fast, aggressive, and confident in the fight they expected.
Then the pilots used the maneuver built with matchsticks on a kitchen table. The exact details of every pass were chaotic. The principle was not. Stay together. Cross at the right moment. Make the attacker pay for pursuit. Midway proved the idea could work. Guadalcanal made it a daily necessity. Here, pilots flew again and again against experienced Japanese airmen over the jungle and sea.
The Zero remained dangerous whenever it could force a close-turning fight.
So Wildcat pilots learned to climb, dive, strike, and refuse the obvious turn. Their aircraft did not need to be better everywhere. It needed to survive long enough. Every escape preserved a pilot, and every preserved pilot carried experience forward. The weave became less a trick than a habit of thinking as a pair. Against a better turner, teamwork became the Wildcat's most reliable weapon. The tactic worked because each pilot understood what the other pilot was doing. A wingman was not decoration. He was a second set of eyes and guns.
Short radio calls could turn sudden confusion into a coordinated response before the next attack.
That coordination mattered because combat gave pilots almost no time to think.
The Zero's agility was still real. The Americans simply stopped feeding it easy chances. Energy, altitude, and speed became tools for choosing when to fight.
The goal was never to prove courage by turning. The goal was to come home. That practical discipline spread through squadrons as the war grew harder. Another part of the story arrived far from Guadalcanal, on an Aleutian island. A captured Zero gave American engineers a chance to examine the aircraft closely. Its strengths were obvious. So were the compromises that created those strengths.
Extreme lightness helped the Zero maneuver, but lightness also demanded trade-offs.
Testing did not erase the danger. It helped pilots understand where danger lived. The lesson was not that one fighter was perfect and the other was flawed. The lesson was that each design rewarded a different kind of decision. American pilots now had more knowledge, but knowledge still required disciplined action. By 1943, the Wildcat was no longer carrying the entire burden alone.
The Hellcat brought more power, more protection, and performance closer to the Zero's world.
But the Wildcat had bought time for the men, tactics, and systems that followed. New aircraft mattered most when pilots understood how to use their advantages. The air war was never decided by one machine appearing from a factory. It was decided by factories, training, logistics, intelligence, and pilots learning faster. The Wildcat's lesson remained useful. Never fight on the enemy's terms. That idea outlived the Wildcat and shaped every aircraft that followed. Japan still built fighters and still flew brave pilots, but the balance was changing. And experienced aviators were hard to replace once combat began taking them away. Training systems need time, fuel, instructors, and aircraft that can be spared. As losses mounted, experience became one of the most expensive resources in the war. Aircraft performance depended on far more than a brilliant original design. Fuel, spare parts, skilled mechanics, and trained crews all shaped what could fly. A fighter could remain graceful in the sky while the system behind it weakened. The Wildcat's story was becoming part of a much larger industrial war. America could train, rotate, repair, and expand on a scale Japan struggled to match. That system turned lessons from combat into instruction for new pilots. Factories produced aircraft, but organizations produced the people who could use them. Carriers, ships, fuel, parts, and crews formed one connected fighting system. The Thach Weave was powerful because it belonged inside that larger system. Tactics improved when reports, training, and experience traveled faster than losses. By the later war, American air power combined better machines with better replacement systems. That combination, more than any single fighter, changed the balance in the sky. It is tempting to tell this story as one airplane defeating another. But the Wildcat did not erase the Zero's strengths in a close-turning battle. And the Zero did not become harmless because Americans discovered one maneuver. What changed was the decision-making around both machines, before and during each encounter. Thach gave pilots a choice when the enemy expected them to panic. The Wildcat gave them a platform tough enough to use that choice. And the wider American system gave those choices time to accumulate. Wars are rarely won by a miracle. They are won by systems that learn. Every tactical lesson carried a human cost that diagrams can never fully show. Pilots trusted their wingmen because survival often depended on one timely turn. The Pacific was enormous, and a mistake in the sky could become irreversible below. That is why tactics were not abstract theory. They were a promise between pilots. Bring your wingmen home, preserve experience, repair the aircraft, and fly again tomorrow. A repaired airplane represented more than metal. It represented continuity under pressure. The air war was fought by machines, but endured by human beings. And that human cost must remain part of every story about victory. The Zero was not beaten because it suddenly became a bad fighter.
The Wildcat was not successful because it could outturn the Zero.
Success came from recognizing weakness, then building a tactic around it. It began with matchsticks. but it survived because real pilots trusted each other. The Thach Weave changed a chase into a decision the attacker did not want. Then a larger system turned those lessons into lasting air superiority. The lesson is simple. Never give an enemy the fight he prepared to win. Sometimes the decisive weapon is not the machine. It is the decision behind it. The Wildcat could not win the Zero's fight. So American pilots changed the fight. The Zero remained formidable, but formidable alone was no longer enough to decide the war. Discipline, teamwork, intelligence, and industry made the difference grow over time. Behind every maneuver were people making decisions under fear, speed, and uncertainty. And that preparation helped American pilots survive long enough to change the war. The Thach Weave was not magic. It was preparation made visible in the sky. World War II was decided by machines, but machines only mattered through the systems behind them. This is Bismarck's ledger, the decisions, machines, and human cost of World War II.